I'm cold. That's how we're gonna start off. But I want to tell you guys exactly what you need to win. Again, I'm doing on a little bit of a ranty rant. Again, because life is beautiful, life is great, life is abundantly amazing. And if you don't see that, it's because you ain't going hard enough. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what you need to win. Okay, um, uh, uh a friend of mine he reached out and he's like, "Hey, what are some books you recommend for me getting started? I want to invest in myself and build my business skills, right?" And I want to tell you guys what I recommended. Let's see what I recommended. First of all, I recommended $100 million offers. Oh, I didn't even say $100 million leads. I should have said that. I didn't. Um, I own some of those books like I know. Dang. He said he already owned $100 million offers and Ready Fire Aim. Uh, right now, for marketing and such, we'll be starting as soon as possible. Gladly, as I now have capital to do so. 100 leads. All right, so let me break this down for you. I have been in entrepreneurship for 4 years, and recently this year, I've been doing better in terms of money making. The valleys and all of that, like the way the graph is shown, where like you have you're thinking so positive, like, oh, I'm gonna become a millionaire in in a month and all of this very quickly. Like, you think that in the beginning, but then you're shown reality, and then it sucks. And then you have to keep going until you can kind of get the hang of things and feel like you're making progress. The most beautiful thing as an entrepreneur is to see real progress based off of your efforts. It's one of the most rewarding things, even if it's small. Just seeing that you're getting some sort of return for what you're doing is a beautiful process. Now, in terms of those books, I didn't forget. Now, $100 million offers, the Almanac of Navarre Ravikant, the 10x Rule, Peaks and Valleys, No Excuses by Brian Tracy, the 12-week year. Take the 12-week year and implement it. Don't just read it. I already said the 10x Rule, I believe. What else? Almanac of Navarre Ravikant, Ready, Fire, Aim, the quick guide to $100 million or whatever. Um, Ready, Fire, Aim is a really good one. Ready, like if I could only recommend three books, or yeah, if I can only recommend three, I would recommend the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, the 10x Rule, and Ready, Fire, Aim. Those are the three like fundamental books you need, because they're gonna motivate you and give you what you need in terms of kind of principles to go and get whatever else you need. Because there's things like there's there's rockets and then there's fuel. So, like, of course you need fuel, but you can't do anything without the rockets. Okay, that's not a good analogy. What's a good analogy? Hmm. Because like the principles are gonna allow you to get everything else. So it's like okay, say you're in a survival situation and you have a gun. Like, that's the principle. Like, that's a foundation. Like, you can defend yourself. You can go kill an animal and get some food. You can I wouldn't say rob people. That's definitely not a good option. Um, but it helps you to get everything else. It's like a brain to you and your goals, right? So, like the principles, like if you know the principles of success, you're gonna go out and get the skills. Like the main thing about success is skills. Like most people don't understand. In order to be successful, you need to have some sort of skill and you need to monetize it. There's so many people with unmonetized skills. Like a lot of my skills aren't even monetized right now because, like, okay, let me name some skills I have. I know how to rap. I know how I'm pretty sure I know how to run ads. I ran ads before I took a course on it. I know how to run ads. I know how to make a high quality video. I know how to sell. I know how to build funnels. I know how to build funnel systems in terms of like upsells, downsells, cross sales, high ticket, low ticket. I know I know how to make a webinar. I know I know how to build a YouTube channel. I know how to go viral uh, on certain things, in which I have experience with. Like when it comes to firearm channels, like I got a million views, 4 million views in a month. Um, what else? Like I know how to educate people. I know I know I know how to pressure wash. Like even the fundamental stuff. I know to pressure wash. I know how to edit videos. Nothing crazy. I know how to edit videos though. I know how to speed read. I know I know how to learn fast. I know um I know how to turn somebody who doesn't know me into a customer. Um nose itching. I know I know how to be consistent. I know how to be persistent. I know how to sacrifice. I know how to drive a car. Like there's like even driving a car, that's a skill that can be monetized through Uber. Like rapping, you can monetize that through distribution with music. Sales, you can monetize that by getting a sales job. They give you the flow. Like there's flow and then there's monetized flow. And there's no flow with monetization. So if you could sell really good, but you have no flow of appointments, your skill is almost completely irrelevant unless you have appointments, unless you have opportunities to sell. So like when you get in a job, they give you a ton of opportunities, or they might even have you do outbound. Outbound is where you're reaching out to people. Inbound is where you basically have a platform and you can reach out to the people who are already connected to you, like maybe followers or people who give you their email, etc. But basically, outbound is reaching out to people and all of that. And they give you this flow and they give you the opportunity. But the main thing is like I have a lot of unmonetized skills, but skill stacking is one of the most important things because, like, if you can be consistent, if you can be persistent, if you know how to, like, the millionaires, the billionaires are the people who have the highest leverage skills. The millionaires usually stack their skills. So, because when you think about billionaires, it's like Jeff Bezos probably does have a lot of skills, but one of the most high leverage skills you could never have, or I don't so like patience in seeing something that people can't see, like seeing into the future. Because when you see all these billionaires, the reason why they was able to impact so many people and therefore collect so much currency, just because of how much value they provide to society through their products, services, whatever. Just that. Um, like, okay, cool. They had a vision, they stuck with it for a very long time. Like some of these people, like were doing it for years and years and years without really making any crazy gains. So like that patience, but like also a lot of the times us, young entrepreneurs are so impatient because we're just trying to solve the main problem. Once you solve the main problem, you have so much more wavelength, more wave span to really be like put effort into something, wake up and put effort into something all the time, like all the time without getting rewarded for it for a long time because like you want to get rewarded for your actions immediately. You want to do some hard work and then immediately get a sale or immediately become a millionaire, whatever it is. But the whole game is, you know, I really think it's cash flow than opportunity. So the main thing is you start off, you get a cash flow business to take care of your needs and get you out of the survival mindset. Because when you think of like the hierarchy of needs, whatever, you want to make sure that you're good for a long time. Like, okay, if I don't make a sale for 6 months, I'm straight. I'm going to survive. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be able to pay bills, right? You want that type of mindset before you start to get into something like Jeff Bezos or these other people were into, because at the end of the day, you can't make very long term decisions if you're focused on survival. And that's the thing. Excuse me. So you get cash flow, you get a cash flow business, something to make you thousands a month, hundreds of thousands a month, millions a month, whatever you want to get to. You can scale very deeply, but it also depends on how big of an opportunity it is. The easier it is to make cash very fast with something, the harder it is to scale. Um, so like most software companies are not profiting for like a year or whatever it is. But like when you start an agency and you say, "Hey, I'll run some ads for you," you can call 1,000 people and get one person to pay you $1,000, and then boom, you just profited. Um, but like building a software company, you need developers and all of this other stuff, and it takes a lot of money going in for money to ever come out, and it's a more long term investment. Like even Alex Ramosi says that the longer your time horizon is, the more rich the person usually is, the longer their time horizon. So people are thinking in terms of this week, today, this month. Some people are thinking, okay, in the next 20 years, I want to do this. In the next 100 years, I want my company to do this. And when you say next 100 years, you're not even including your lifespan because you're likely not going to be alive in 100 years. So that type of long term thinking makes your decisions a lot more clear in terms of the objectives and not just getting so clouded by what's going on today. So, I mean, um, me, I don't know. Sometimes, like beforehand, I don't know what it is with me, why I'm not winning as fast. Because, sometimes I do think that I do have too much knowledge to not be making as much as I want to be making. But like in the beginning, I focused on learning a lot of the deeper things that, okay, this is how you get from 100K to 500K to 200K, 300K, whatever. This is how you scale your business from 10 million to this or whatever it is. And then I didn't have the foundational skills, I guess. And that's probably and then I had shiny object syndrome. So now, the fact that I've been in the agency model and I've stuck with it for a whole year without like going into some other type of business and all of that, shows that I gotten rid of my shiny object syndrome in terms of switching from business model to business model. But I'm still not where I want to be. So like I'm either missing skills or implementation. Um, like judgment is one of the most valuable things you can have when it comes to success. Uh, because judgment is going to allow you to know what's the best decision and what's the implications. Like, I don't know, I said something about this to myself, or I made a video about it, but wisdom is like very important. Like, wisdom is very important. And that's why King Solomon had wisdom. He prayed for wisdom, he got wisdom. But the reason he fell is because he had wisdom, but he had no discipline. Wisdom is the ability to understand the implications of actions going on at different time spans. Like, okay, if I do this today in a week, it's going to affect me like this. If I do this week, it's going to affect me in a year like this. So, understanding something is not the same as making the right decision. So, judgment is okay. Judgment is very valuable. Judgment is wisdom. But wisdom is nothing without discipline, and I'm building up my discipline. Like there's levels to discipline. If you get on the journey, you understand that discipline is like a house of cards. um you know, for some reason, when you're building on top of it, it's very, very, very strong. But once you let loose on one card, it just easily falls, and all of it just collapses because of you letting yourself go against certain disciplines. So if you say, "Hey, I need to do this every day," and you don't do that one day, you say, "I don't really feel like it," you're gonna respect yourself less and respect your discipline less, and then the next thing's gonna come around and you're gonna say, I don't feel like it. Okay. Then you're gonna be waking up late. Then you're gonna be watching Netflix all day. Then you're gonna be making no money and being broke and being fat and unhealthy and having a terrible life because you have no discipline. Like I look at some people, I'm not even, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but I look at, some people in my family, some older people in my family who had the opportunities to make good decisions for a long time. The longer you live, the longer the longer you've had opportunities to make good decisions, and bad decisions compound over time. Meaning that, like, the more bad decisions you make, the more bad decisions you make. You put yourself in a bad position, in a bad emotional state, then you make more bad decisions. So let me give you an example. Say you decide to have intercourse before marriage, and you're an undisciplined person. You um you end up having a baby because you're undisciplined in that way, and you don't wear what you're supposed to wear, and then you have a kid, then you're on child support, then and then you're undisciplined, you can't restrain yourself, and you're cheating on the girl, whatever the thing is, then you break up and now you're on child support. There's another negative implication because of your actions. So first things first is, you didn't have the discipline to wait till marriage. Then you didn't have the discipline to cover yourself up. Then you didn't have the discipline to stay loyal. Then you didn't have the discipline, and then the negative consequences just start to um, come in. So then you're on child support. Then you have problems seeing your kid because the girl resents you, or whatever the thing is. There's lots of things, especially when it comes like to really slippery slopes like alcohol and drug addiction. Like you might say, "Oh, let me just try something. Let me just try," and then, okay, that was pretty good. Let me try some more. Okay, that's not really hitting the way I want it to anymore. Let me try something deeper, or let me try something more hardcore, or this and that. Whatever, you get deeper and deeper into it, you're addicted. You're on the streets. You're selling people stuff. Um, you're you're very skinny. You're losing teeth, and then you're in a position where bad decisions are just normal, and then they compound even more from there, and then next is just death, or you better hope that somebody blesses you with an opportunity to get right, and then also giving you accountability to help you build your discipline back up. Because the thing about humans is, the thing about us is, you you have a natural inclination for the path of least resistance, and that's the thing. It's like a river that flows. It's a law of nature. When you think about an explosion, when you think about a bullet, it escapes the cartridge and goes forward. It doesn't go backwards. So there's an explosion, and the bullet goes forwards very specifically. And why does that happen? Because the cartridge is holding it like this, and the explosion is happening here. So when it's the path of least resistance is straight because there's nothing holding it back. So path of least resistance is going to make it propel forward, because the explosion and all of that energy can only be propelled as easily in this direction, and that's just a law of nature, the way God made it. So when you think about the path of least resistance, it's natural for humans to take that path, unless it's against their best interests. So you want to always align yourself with other people's best interests, so that you'll be in way with um, you know what's going to most likely happen, because you can always bet on people doing the things that are in their best interest. And when you think about decisions, the natural human framework is weighing a decision versus weighing a decision, as in, okay, if I get out of bed right now, I'm going to be uncomfortable, but what am I comparing that to? Okay, I have to go to work. If I don't go to work, I'll miss my job, and then I'll be homeless. I'll lose my job, and then I'll be homeless, and then I won't have a place to sleep. So you decide to get up out of bed early and go to work, because the implications of you not getting up early are far outweigh the comfort of getting in bed. That's why people sleep in on the weekends. So when you think about um entrepreneurship, it was actually a tough thing in the beginning, especially getting myself to do certain things, because when I have the freedom and the opportunity to sleep in without consequence, my mom's not going to be mad at me like, hey, you slept in too late. I'm not I didn't have a job, so it's not like I'm losing a job. It's just only the opportunity to gain. And when you learn about persuasion, people care more about losing than people care about gaining. So I had to get my brain, well, I was already in that kind of pathway, but I had to set it up to where I wanted to gain more than I wanted to, stay in bed. So like I do a lot of stuff on self-respect. Self-respect is something like a pact you can make with yourself that like, hey, when I put something on self-respect, it gets done no matter what I got to do. So when you say, hey, I'm not going to be watching YouTube on self-respect, you're not going to watch YouTube. Like who cares? Ain't no if, ands, or buts about it. You're going to do it. And you don't break that, and it builds up just like discipline. But what I was saying before is I don't want to get too straight away from the concept of weighing decisions based off of the path of least resistance and the path most beneficial to whatever you value. Because, like, you only take the path most beneficial to whatever you value. So okay, so say you're a guy and a girl calls you out like, hey, I'm that's probably not a good example because I don't want to influence you in that way. I don't even condone that activity. But I was trying to think of a good example. Say you're a guy and I'll just say the regular example. You got a job. Job outweighs extra sleep because extra sleep will benefit you now, but job will be the reason that you can extra sleep on the weekends in the actual bed instead of under a bridge. Get it? Yes. Okay. Great. And the thing is, the important, valuable aspect of this is you need to at least have the wisdom to understand the implications so that you can make better decisions. Because the thing about selling is, and I learned that in this book, Spin Selling, the thing is, the higher price the thing is, the bigger the problem usually has to be. So you can build up a problem by telling people the implications of the problem. So something as small as eating candy, people see it as no big deal. Okay, what's the implication? You have a sweet tooth. Now you have cravings for candy. Okay, you have to spend. Okay, it's only a few dollars, but then over years, how much does is that costing you? Okay, great. Eating candy, you have a sweet tooth and you're gaining weight because you're not only wanting candy, you're also wanting other unhealthy things because of the sweet tooth you develop. Okay, great. And then when you have the sweet tooth, you end up with cavities. How much is that costing you in terms of dental? Right? How much are you going to pay? Even if you have insurance, you're still going to you're going to have to get out of your way to go to the dentist. And if you don't feel like going to the dentist and you let that rot for multiple years, you're going to end up with teeth falling out. You're going to end up with plaque, and you're going to end up with bad breath, and you're going to end up with all these different things. So if I'm selling something and I tell you all these implications, you're like, God darn, no candy for me, huh? Okay, good idea, man. You just right, no candy. I'm straight. Yeah, 100%, man. No, man, forget candy. I don't eat candy. I don't. What is candy? Like, boom, just like that. Like the implications. So wisdom is just being able to understand the implications of your actions, and or just the wisdom. There's different ways to describe it, but I think wisdom is like understanding the implications of actions in general, because you can understand the implications of your actions, which is cool, but you also need to understand the implications of others actions, and just actions in general. Because when if you understand the laws of physics, you'll be able to predict things. And like in the book of the almanac of Naval Ravikant, it talks about um true power is knowing principles that have predictive power. The best thing in life is understanding things that have predictive power. Like skills are so valuable because you're learning the little nuances that have predictive power in an outcome or a result. So, like when you think about predictive power, it's like, okay, can I predict what the weather's going to be today? If I had the weather forecaster's technology, I have that predictive power. If I have a principle that tells me if I make a good hook and I make a valuable video and I do this and do this, I can go viral, right? That's predictive power. So the implications of your actions is that predictive power. So like understanding that if you do this, this happens, that's predictive power. So that's wisdom, being able to basically having foresight into the future, of what certain actions lead to. And that's the value of wisdom. But also at the same time, like I said before, value, like wisdom is nothing without discipline, because discipline is being able to see that candy isn't good for you, and say, I'm not going to eat candy anymore. Instead of saying, uh, you know how people be like, they'd be like, oh, F it, I'll just do it. I don't care, whatever. That's you might not necessarily have wisdom. You know the implications of your actions because somebody told you, or but you also don't have the discipline. The worst thing you can have is not having any wisdom, predictive power, and not having any discipline. Because when you know what to do, you don't do it, and you also don't know what to do on your own. So the best things you can have in life, like literally the success blueprint, is figuring out how to become as wise as possible and as disciplined as possible. And that's the journey that I'm on right now. Because like what wisdom is like I said, and I just made that connection now, and that's why I like talking about this. This is fun to talk about. What time is it? It's only 10:09. Okay, okay. But the crazy thing is, wisdom is predictive power, but skills are wisdom learned. So you're learning predictive power through adopting new skills, because the skills are understanding and memorizing the little nuances with predictive power. So if I understand, if my experience tells me in content that if I right now wanted to go viral and just get a ton of views on a gun channel, I could just make 90 videos a month, just 3 videos a day, or probably even crank out 10 if I was feeling like it, 10 a day. For 90 days, I would get millions and millions and millions of views on that gun channel. I have that predictive power and that wisdom and that skill set of learning those little nuances that have predictive power. Like, okay, if I make a hook, a video with a really good hook and really good value that's broad, I can reach more people. That's predictive power. But the discipline is knowing when to, the wisdom is also knowing when to use this predictive power. And the discipline is being able to use it even when it's uncomfortable to do. Because, you know, there's all types of standards for comfort. You know, there's some people who sleep on the floor every day and are cool with it, and there's some people who sleep on the top mattress and hate it. So comfort is arbitrary, and it usually just depends on what you're used to and your circumstances. But discipline is like discipline is great, but it's like there's people in the army who are broke. You can be very disciplined, and I don't know if those people are actually disciplined or they're just in a situation where, you know, that's just the standard. And then once they go back into a world with TV and phones and all these different distractions, will they revert? But they're acting in a way that's like, if someone screams at you and tells you to wake up and pours water on you or whatever it is, you're gonna get up, you know. But if someone's not doing that and you can't get up on your own, you don't have discipline. So someone yelling at you is just a circumstance where it would be in your best interest for you. Well, it would be more in your best want, not interest, because your best interest, if you're trying to be productive, is to wake up on time. But I think that's a bit of enough of a rant. I don't know. I feel like I gave you guys some pretty interesting things. I do like the idea of, wisdom and discipline, because I want to become as wise as possible and as disciplined as possible, which means I have to build up my discipline like a house of cards, and I need to respect every single one of my own rules that I give myself very strictly. Because if I don't respect those rules, the house of cards will collapse and I won't have the discipline to act on the wisdom I have, which will let me know the implications of my actions and therefore propel me towards where I want to go at a faster rate. Because even there's certain levels of wisdom, because there's some wisdom that's like, hey, if you want to make $1 million, you know, and it's also like, you don't know everything. So like wisdom with what you know can be a small level of wisdom compared to what's really true. So truth is the most important thing, because if you have truth, wisdom, and discipline, there's nothing stopping you, because like the more you're aware of, the more truth you can have. And that's just discipline. I mean, that's just wisdom in general, because if you're not aware of certain things, you're not going to be able to have the predictive power to like see into the future and have that foresight or whatever you want to call it. But like the more like it's like Alex Hermosi says, like, and Alex Hermosi, I feel like he really is starting to get it. Like he's understanding life. Like, well, not even just starting to get it. Like, and I can't even. I'm not in position to say like starting to get it, whatever. I was just saying like in terms of like him like saying all these principles. I'm like thinking back to all these principles that he was saying and how much sense they make, because like the more clearly you see the world in terms of wisdom, how many things you actually know that are out there, the better predictive power you can have. Because in a closed situation, like in a closed environment, if you're shooting in the dark, you're not going to be accurate. But once the lights turn on, your accuracy increases by a lot. So when you think of like wisdom, is in that same way, and that's kind of how God is, because God is light, and it's truth. So God is truth, and you can only see the truth in the light. You can't see truth in darkness because you don't know what's going on, so you can't be accurate. So that's a really good analogy, because when you think about it, like if you're trying to shoot a target, if it's dark, you're not going to be accurate because you don't know the truth. But when you can see clearly, you're going to be more accurately because you know the truth. And that's how God is. God's light is truth, because when you have truth, you have wisdom and understanding. And that wisdom and understanding will guide you to make better decisions based off of what you know will happen. Just like when you learn that hell is a real place, and you learn that you can actually go there, and you learn that God's laws are laws that are going to keep you on the right path. Like if I tell somebody, hey, you have to wake up at 8 a.m., you have to go to sleep consistently at the same time, you need to be working like focus, you can't have any TikTok, any Netflix, any of that, whatever it is, they'll be like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. But if they know, like, hey, if you do this for a year straight, you'll be a millionaire, they might do it, but they might not have the discipline. Now they know the implications and the predictive power of those actions, but they don't have the discipline to do so. And that's what I'm saying, like with God, because if you understand why he makes these commandments, why he tells you to do these things, it's like, okay, I could tell somebody, hey, don't watch Netflix, don't do this, don't do that. If I tell them like you're not going to get anything from it, they're not going to do it, because why would they go out their way to inconvenience themselves in that way and make their life uh more uncomfortable and less fun? Why? There's absolutely no reason other than the reason that you can become a millionaire and have everything you ever wanted for your whole life, for the whole rest of your life. So when you think about that, like God's wisdom, like he's the true light. And I think that's why the Bible calls it light, because in light there's truth, there's accuracy, there's understanding. And when God has complete and true understanding, he's only going to tell you to do something that's really good for you in terms of the implications, and he's only going to tell you not to do something that's very bad for you in terms of the implications. So when he tells you not to fornicate, that's not just, hey, don't go out there and have fun. That's, hey, you're probably there's transmitted diseases, you're making a connection with this person that can't be severed. Well, that's hard to sever. You're interacting with someone that's going to be somebody's future wife, that, you know, when that person gets married, that's their history with you when you weren't the person they were going to end up with. And that's something that they might even deal with. And then and then on top of that, there's the opportunity of kids, and that's where you have collapses in systems and societies where you have tons of fornication, where people are having babies outside of marriage. And then the implications get deeper and deeper, because when you don't have that family household structure system, things get worse and worse, because you have less leadership, less wisdom, less authority, less discipline instated into these children, so that they can be raised up in the correct way. So they're being raised up loosely with less morals, and they're going to take the path of least resistance because they don't have discipline and they don't understand the implications of their actions. So they're going to complete the cycle over and over and over again, because they don't have the wisdom to understand that fornication is bad and that they shouldn't do it. They're just chasing their fleshly desires and saying, hey, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, I did this, here are the results, I don't care, I'm going to do it again. Because They may see, and that's how people end up in bad situations they know are bad, but they don't get out because they don't have the discipline. Even though they understand the implications, they are in the implications, they are receiving, they are reaping what they have sown. So this is water, by the way. That's kind of, that's my rant for today. When you guys watch this in 5 years, when I'm a millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is, cheers. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.